Yeah, Vince from Hell Pichel versus Ismail Bonfim. So Ismail is like a 5-1 favorite here or something, I think. Pretty much pick 'em prices, as you can see on PS. Bonfim's in the $2.80 range. Pichel, $2.50 range. So you're getting a 5-1 favorite at pick'em odds on PS. And Bonfim is coming off a loss. It was to Benoit Saint Denis, who we know is a beast. And he's 100% a fraud if he loses to Vince from Hell. Style-wise, really aggressive striker, real power, comes forward at you. Will definitely work in some takedowns as well. Generally, high-level boxer, good grappler, all gas, no brakes kind of guy. Vince Pichel also comes forward at you, stays in your face. Decent offensive wrestling, albeit 23% takedown defense. And he's coming off a decision loss to Mark Madsen. That was 2 years ago. Vince is insanely old. Ismail's a killer with super aggressive striking and grappling. Vince, 41 years old, hasn't fought in 2 years. Like, no need to overthink this one. Just go with Ismail, the 5-1 favorite, for better odds than you're getting anywhere else. Okay. Oralby and Brenner. Elvis, $1.92. Middlebeck Oralby, $5.39. People think this is going to be a really good fight. And before I do like a little breakdown here, like obviously the value here is on Brenner. It's much closer odds at the books. And that's why I wanted to point this fight out, along with it just being such a popular one. Probably one of the best fights on the card. But Brenner coming off back-to-back KOs. Kind of will trick you into thinking he's a striker looking at that on paper, but he isn't. He's more of a grappler, at least has been throughout his career. Does have a very loose striking style, throw big power. Main goal is to get you against the cage so he can get it to the ground, though. And he'll throw bombs in the pocket, athletic enough to mix in kicks, some spinning techniques. Middlebeck Oralby is a very fun grappler. He'll entertain some striking before fully committing to the wrestling at some point in the fights. Pretty stiff when he's standing up banging. And he can be hit, but his wrestling and grappling pressure is just constant, never stops there. He has a great chin, very athletic and powerful. Does a nice job setting the pace in a fight. His only loss was a very competitive fight where you never stop moving forward in that one. And he's coming off a debut win over Euros Medic, where he had 7 takedowns and a sub, and we just saw Euros knock the brakes off of Tim Means in under 2 minutes last fight. Just retired him. Oralby blew through that dude. Striking didn't even matter. Everyone loves Brenner here as a dog, but I think he doesn't have what he takes to piece up Oralby. Like, if Medic couldn't do it, Brenner is not the same caliber of striker as the doctor is. So I'm going to go with Middlebeck. Great spot in the books if you're on Middlebeck's side. Great spot on PS if you're on the Elvis Brenner side of things. Mauricio Ruffy, $1.86 on PS, UFC debut, against Jamie Malarkey, $2.82. So we have a $1 discount on Mauricio. Jamie, pretty good everywhere. He can wrestle, almost 3 takedowns a fight. He has 2 knockout wins on his resume. So well-rounded, not particularly dangerous anywhere. Primarily a grappler. Has recently stepped up in the striking department, just been more active there, higher volume, coming off of a knockout loss to Nasrat Haqparast. And Ruffy, very nasty striker, finishing power for sure. 9 wins, all stoppages, will throw heavy 1s and 2s. But he isn't just a boxer. He'll launch kicks straight down the middle, has good takedown defense. We've seen him go to the 3rd round. So, I mean, we have some evidence that he won't gas, even though he's won by stoppages. I think just looking at this matchup on paper, you'd pretty much instantly lean the Ruffy side. He puts people out pretty consistently. Jamie gets knocked out a lot. But this is a big step up in competition for him. He's going from Contender Series fights to this pay-per-view card in Brazil. Giant step up for him. And we don't know how he'll react at the end of the day, but based on skills alone, I think I'm going to go with the more powerful striker who can defend takedowns. Jamie's been KO'd a few too many times for my liking recently. I think Ruffy will probably do the same to him. Ruffy did not go. Yeah. I think this is going to be a better fight than people expect it to be. I would imagine everybody to be on the Brito side of things, especially on a Brazilian card. But I think it's going to be an exciting one. Either of them probably could win it. So, prefacing breakdown with I don't know if I'm going to bet on this fight at all, probably stay away. Brito, very fast and athletic grappler, solid pressure on top, wide array of submission techniques. Striking isn't as technical as his groundwork, but he definitely has some bombs that he can throw, just wide punches, heavy kicks. Relies on his chin, sometimes a bit too much, doesn't really care what comes back his way. And even though he is comfortable striking, his goal is to get it to the ground, averages almost 4 takedowns a fight, coming off a submission win over Jonathan Pierce, the fraud. And Jack Shore is a good grappler, moves forward all the time, constantly looking for a takedown, shooting at the feet. Both his striking technique and wrestling technique involve forward pressure. He also works in kicks nicely. Solid striking differential, almost 4 takedowns a fight, coming off a submission win over Makwan Americani. Brito, 2-1 favorite. Feels like a trap, kind of. He is the more dangerous fighter here, but he can also be taken down really easily. Shore should be a good enough grappler to not make the same mistake that Jonathan Pierce made. But I kind of can't really tell by tape or anything if he can shoot takedowns as well as Jonathan Pierce can. I think the fight, though, is closer to 50-50. I'll lean the Joe Anderson Brito side of things, but he does only have 47% takedown defense, and Jack can absolutely get it done.
No. Oh, that. Oh,
I love that. Yeah, that was sick. Thank you, Rose.
I'll give Jackson a break with his voice for a sec here.
Yes, sir.
I like Baralho here. I mean, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, judo, very clean striker coming up against a guy who, I mean, obviously on a downward trend in his career. He's had wins against Jamal Hill. But yeah, lost 3 out of his last 4. Still probably has a bit of power. He did have a KO in between some of those losses. So, I mean, if you fall into anything, walk into anything, it's still a long day for you if you're facing Paul Craig. But I think a little bit of that power has diminished, and more importantly, some of that chin has diminished for sure as well. Coming up against a guy like Baralho, super clean, able to fight for submissions and for knockouts. So to me, that just feels like the obvious pick here.
Yeah, I'm with you, Grant. I'd also stress that Barajo is $1 cheaper than Paul Craig on PS, so we're getting some great value for him. Pretty much in the same boat with you. Like, I think Paul Craig is always dangerous, and you have to be wary of him, but I do think he's a bit overrated. He can be finished, he can be out-grappled or outstruck, depending on who he's fighting. So, yeah, he's
in this
dangerous.
case, maybe both.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think Kyle will win it. He should finish Paul Craig, honestly. So I'm excited to see what kind of juice we get with the odds there and stuff. But Kyle is a great investment on PS. Super slick grappler, well-timed takedowns, got that karate stance, very explosive. So I agree with you, Grant. I like him as a long-term investment on PS. I think he's definitely becoming a contender at 185. Like his wins look super dominant on paper. I think this is going to be a relatively like good test for us to see how good Kyle really is, like how bad he can beat Paul Craig. But like on paper, his wins look super good. In his decision win over Magomedov, that was a really close one. Had one takedown, but he did knock him down. So it was kind of sketchy there. But I think he's a hold because I think they're building him up as a prospect. Grant.
One thing just to clear up, when you look up Ihor, it says he has 2 fights currently scheduled. Is that true, Jackson?
What?
He has a fight against Pereira, obviously, on this card, and then it says June 22nd. He's already scheduled to fight Magomedov on the Chimaev Whitaker undercard, which I don't know if that is true or not. Maybe one of those things got canceled, and that's why he got the other fight. But it's pretty insane if that's true. But I do like him to lose here, and maybe in a fashion that would lead to him not being able to fight in June. So I like Michel here. Hasn't lost in the UFC since I believe early 2020, so over 4 years now. I wouldn't say he's fought the greatest crop of fighters, but he's fought guys that are veterans in the UFC, and he doesn't really feel like a guy that can get fraud checked. He's fought those kind of guys before, and he's passed in flying colors. Only 30 now, so you can kind of give him some slack, cut him some slack for his losses when he was 26. Definitely a younger fighter, and now he's kind of coming into his own. I think he cruises in this fight, but I'm open to any differing opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm an Ihor fan. I like watching him fight. I think Michel probably gets it done here, though. Constant movement, capoeira fighting style with a bunch of spins and punches. Fought at 175 for the majority of his career. Now looking for, I think, his third win in the new weight class. And this dude is only 30 years old and has 41 pro fights under his belt. And he's so talented. He looks healthier at this weight class, I think. He just destroyed Olenjacek. And Ihor, good striker, loose style, solid power. But he can be hittable because of those low hands and his reliance on his chin, and it doesn't always hold up. So, yeah, I got Michel here. Ihor probably will be the more technical striker, but I don't think it's going to matter. Michel hits too hard, too fast, too good of a grappler. It's just the more creative one. I like him here. Typically, I think Anthony Smith different.
It does feel like that, yeah. I think this kind of continues a stretch of fights where the Brazilians are kind of given a little bit of a layup. I mean, it's still a ranked fighter and a guy that's been around forever and obviously knows the sport as well as anyone, shown by his ability to call fights, like you mentioned, Wells. But I mean, this is another huge favorite. We've seen massive consensus favorites for the last 3 Brazilian fighters to start out this main card. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if you can trust all of them to win. I feel like on the night you might see one upset between the 3 of these fights. But this one, again, just doesn't feel like the spot for it. I definitely like Petrino here. Curious what you think, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you in the sense that I don't think all the Brazilians are gonna win on this card, obviously, but I think this is one of the ones that's a layup, given
Yeah.
him a name and Anthony Smith that he can just build him up. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That win over Ryan Spann was super sus that Anthony Smith had, like, and he had 2 losses before that, followed that up with a loss. Um, but I mean, he's really, really tough. That's why he got it done against Spann, got it to decision, even though he probably lost that fight, in my opinion. But Petrino, stronger, younger, faster, definitely not that better actual fighter between the two. Anthony has better technique. Definitely a young man's game, though, here. Like Anthony isn't that old, but he's been in so many fights that his body has aged a little bit faster than like the actual amount of years he's been on earth. But Vitar gets his first win over a ranked opponent here. Great step up. Yeah, so Jose coming out of retirement for this one, going up against Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan $7.70 range, Jose Aldo 11.50s. Jonathan, well-rounded guy, technical striking, good BJJ. He has a Muay Thai striking style, uses those kicks to manage range. He doesn't wrestle very often, but he can snatch up submissions and scrambles. He's coming off of a leg kick finish over Adrian Yanez. And Jose, obviously a legend coming out of retirement for this co-main. Jose, good everywhere. Great counter striking, very technical Muay Thai, good BJJ, good wrestling. Leg kicks are absolutely a nightmare for other fighters. Some of the best takedown defense the UFC has ever seen. He is listed as 37 years old, and he retired 2 years ago, lost to Marab. In the 2 years he was away, he won 2 boxing matches, drew another. And like he was defending takedowns well in that Marab fight. He lost with his back against the cage, defended 16 takedowns, couldn't get the striking going at all. But um, here we are, 2 years later. We have Jose Aldo coming out of retirement for whatever reason, 2 years rustier against a very busy, high volume, explosive kind of guy. So I'm obviously going to be rooting for Jose Aldo, but we're getting too good a value on Jonathan Martinez on PS not to take it. He's younger, fresher, more dangerous. Yeah, but I'm going to be
Do we
rooting
have
for the.
an do we have an age conspiracy on our hands? You said he's listed at 37.
I just don't
Are
know
we
if
do
he's.
we not believe the 37?
I think he's older. No,
No,
Jose
Jose.
Aldo. I feel like he's like in his 40s, dude. Yeah, dude. Like,
Listed at 37.
dude, he's from the favelas. Like, I feel like he got his birth certificate when he was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do like the movement we've seen for the Jonathan Martinez in terms of like a consensus sportsbook sense. Martinez started out a pretty decent favorite. It's since moved into almost Aldo being favored. I think potentially he is the favorite now. But
Mhm.
it just feels like a spot where it's people seeing the name Jose Aldo, and it's probably one last fight, the last time you're going to be able to have a stake on Aldo in a fight. And I think people are kind of letting the name confuse them. And I'll take Martinez at the underdog odds on both PS and on anywhere else for this one.
Yeah. Crazy, dude. Yeah, I mean, and just look at that Steve Erceg chart. This is a guy who's getting his title shot so early is already up 127.11% on the year. So it's like Erceg, great buy on PS before going into this fight, regardless of this result, because it's so early in his career getting this title shot against Pantoja. And he's 4 times cheaper than is Pantoja. Alexandre comes forward at you for the whole fight, a lot of power. Also has good grappling, control, ground and pound skills. His striking, it's pretty like not basic, but he kind of sticks to the basics of striking. He's not very technical, but it is effective when he combines it with that forward pressure. He definitely have some success on the feet. Very durable. Those who have beat him have done it with control time and wrestling. He's coming off his title defense over Brandon Royval, where he had 8 takedowns. He's going up against Astro Boy Erceg, who is a grappler, attacks quickly, snatches things up, and scrambles effectively. Striking is improving for sure. He has nice kicks, improved striking volume. His stance is sort of wide. He could definitely like move his head more, but he does have a nice jab that he can use while moving forward at his opponent. And I'd say even with his recent striking success, it's safe to call Steve Erceg a grappler. He moves extremely fluidly and sees most of the opportunities that he capitalizes on the ground. First finish win in the UFC was over Schnell. He KO'd him there. And like I said, this is super quick ascension to a title shot for Steve Erceg. There are a bunch of losses and inactivity in the flyweight top 10 that have kind of allowed for him to get here. And, you know, I think the Pantoja 2-1 odds are pretty accurate. Like, I would expect Pantoja to be able to defend this, but I think Erceg is very skilled. I think he could easily sneak out a win here. He's a very underrated grappler. He's willing to bang, as we've seen in his last few fights. And ultimately, this is, like Wells said, the craziest price discrepancy I've ever seen on PS. So I have to. Yeah, it's like, how can you not sprinkle?
And with the loss, it's probably not even that much of a.
No, it probably goes down like 5%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mandatory from that front. It's super rare that you'll see a guy only have 3 fights of gains on PS and then have a title fight. I mean, that's the reason for the price discrepancy is just he hasn't had the 20 fights or something that Pantoja has had to go up and down and kind of get up to that $21 mark. It's only been 3 fights since that IPO price at around what, like 220, 210. So yeah, just an absolute mandatory buy in my opinion. It's very rare. I don't know if we've actually ever seen a title fight come this quickly since we've been monitoring these fights on PS. In terms of a sportsbook price too, I think I even like Erceg as well for the value. I think it's somewhat close to a 50-50 fight. It'll come down to kind of whose style wins out, and I think Erceg has as much a chance as any to take the belt from Pantoja here.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
No, I was saying if he does lose, there could be a bit of a sell-off or something I would anticipate, but that's the only thing to probably be a little wary of. Wait, what? Wow. Also, Michael Porter Jr. update for the family. Another brother has been arrested. So 3 terrible brothers. He has 4. One of them's in jail. One of them just got arrested for DUI, and the other one gambled on games. And MPJ is still out there shooting like 6 of 10 from 3.
Yeah.
Stone cold killer. You gotta respect it. Yeah.